How bad is it?
これぞ本物のドリフト。バンダトレノ。
Frank, you asshole. Frank, you asshole.
Meanwhile.
What is this crap?
Read your history books.
Oh, I get it now.
Run, bitch! Run!
Oh, it gets worse.
Yes, I can definitely smell shit.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy Dragon here, and Jesus Christ, I genuinely cannot believe how much Netflix has dropped the ball on the first part of what is supposed to be an epic two-part series of the last season that Henry Cavill plays as Geralt of Rivia. But look, I will go into the details of what pissed me off so much about this series in just a bit, but to give you an idea of how dumb it gets, imagine all the terrible story writing, pacing, and unnecessary woke elements that Rings of Power forced upon you, the gullible audience, but then multiply it by 3 times. In fact, I truly believe the producers of this show came out of the same mass production factory as the ones from Rings of Power, because I genuinely felt like I was being tricked into believing that this show was going to be a mess show, but the second we get to episode 3 to 5, my god, do they turn on the turbo shit engines to maximum overdrive.
これぞ本物のドリフト。
However, before we get into it, I want to thank all of you for your time because I know it's very valuable these days, and if you were able to find amusement out of this video, then please consider doing what you're seeing on screen if you feel compelled to do so.
Fun and good for your health.
Also, please note that this will be a long video since I am covering all the episodes that have come out for this first half of this season, and of course they will be condensed down to the essentials, but please again be aware that this video will contain spoilers as well. So without further ado, let's dive headfirst into the sea of manure, ladies and gents. Alright, so for starters, this episode picks up weeks where we left off in Season 2's timeline by showing us Geralt killing some goons that are looking for Ciri, but then we get a 30-minute sequence of him, Ciri, and Yennefer living in hiding and moving from place to place in order to avoid the constant hounding of hired assassins sent by both Rience and Emir in order to capture Ciri, while also showing us the training that she is going through with Yennefer in order to control her powers.
Nah, there's nothing suspicious here.
Wait, hear me.
Also, there are some extra scenes of plot sprinkled in those 30 minutes so you don't get bored that basically let you know that Rience is really desperate to capture Ciri to the point where he'll use a monster to track her down, and that there is a conflict being sparked between Francesca and the Diet Twilight Jacob elf, I mean Gallatin, who believes the only way for their people to survive is if they allied themselves with Nilfgaard in order to destroy the North, which greatly displeases her.
You understand why, right?
Furthermore, we find out the BDSM deviant Dijkstra and Philippa are also trying to find Ciri as well, but they end up getting forced by King Vizimir to chaperone his younger brother Prince Radovid, and yes, if you're a book fan, your spidey senses should be tingling with red flags, because last I checked, the Radovid in the books was the king's young teenage son and not his younger brother.
Oh boy, this is bad.
Anyway, to make the long story short, Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri end up getting attacked by the monster Rience sent to kill them, but it ends up getting easily killed by Geralt. Jaskier ends up getting manipulated by Philippa and Radovid so he can draw out Ciri under the pretense that his friends need his help in drawing out Rience. Ciri gets told the story about how the elves would have had an easier time dealing with the early humans after the conjunction of the spheres if they had all been unified under the banner of racial genocide, but that they didn't, so they ended up getting screwed in the long term. And then a fight scene ensues between Rience's men and the group with some of the worst CGI, camera work, and fight choreography I have ever seen done in an action scene for a medieval fantasy show up to now.
Well,
Imagine taking all the worst aspects of the fight choreography from Rings of Power and then multiplying it by 3 times that amount. And look, you don't need to be super attentive to catch these errors because their attempt at doing several quick swoops across the battlefield make the scenes look like they were shot by a drunk cameraman high on his 4th hit of cocaine.
Jesus Christ! That's terrible.
However, I know some of you won't believe me unless I show you some proof of this, so here it is.
Exhibit A.
minute. Something ain't right. What the f is that?
And now, Exhibit B.
Did he just...
Oh, it gets worse.
Exhibit C.
What?
No, I'm done with this shit.
He dicho. ¡Caso cerrado!
After some minutes of Geralt fighting Rience and breaking his hands, he returns to find out the Scoia'tael elves decided to crash the party, but very quickly most of them end up getting killed by him, like as if they're bothersome flies, and then the bloodthirsty Witcher kills off Francesca's brother because the idiot apparently thought it was a great idea to attempt to capture Ciri while they were retreating from a losing battle.
You are stupid.
Furthermore, the first episode ends with Yennefer and Ciri traveling alone to Aretusa in order so she can be taught how to control her powers while being kept safe from people with dark intentions. Geralt rides off to go after Rience. Jaskier tells Radovid and Philippa that if they want to earn Ciri and Geralt's trust, that they will have to kill Rience. Gallatin rides off to meet an old friend who can help the elves survive Francesca's stupid prophecies. Geralt and Yennefer get back together. Rience gets his broken hands healed, and then we get a random-ass scene of Emperor Emir just burning old portraits in flamed brazier because I guess they needed to hit that 1 hour mark for the pilot episode somehow.
Really? Really?
One more thing, please know that as I finish each episode, I will give each one an individual rating from 1 out of 10, and then I will add up all those ratings together to give you the overall rating out of 5 total points, and so far, this episode was a 4 out of 10 for me because the fight scenes with Henry Cavill were cool, and also because I like the little character building we got in those first 30 minutes. So...
Moving on.
All you need to know for this episode is that the most important scenes in terms of the plot progressing are in the 15 total minutes Geralt is on screen, because the remaining 35 minutes feel like a bunch of filler scenes that could have been condensed further and still got their point in the plot across. And yes, I will speed through this because if the producers gave zero fucks about the lore and the fans, then I could care even less about giving their shitty show more than the minimum amount of exposure.
You're goddamn right.
So the story begins with Geralt going to an information broker couple who give him enough info about Rience to find out that the person behind sending this crazy mage after them is another more powerful mage that's using him as his lapdog, and off he goes to the spooky castle in the middle of nowhere where he finds out that this powerful mage has been kidnapping human girls with elf blood in order to do insidious experiments on them for the purposes of being able to one day mind control Ciri.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
I don't give a
Then, out of nowhere, a human flesh monstrosity attacks Geralt, and he's able to kill it quite easily, and he takes the surviving mentally scarred girl with him somewhere in order to find out who's the mage behind all of this.
That's it?
That's it. That's it.
As for our two female leads, Yen gets really frustrated at Ciri for messing up her plans for a quick portal to Aretusa because she can't control her emotions due to her powers of foresight manifesting after she sees a dwarf child's terrible future, which I'm sure will lead to the misfortune of many people in the future. Oh, wait, it already did, actually.
You saved one, and the consequences likely damned 100 others in exchange.
In other words,
dumbass.
Anyway, because Yen feels that Ciri hasn't gotten the point yet, she shows her a vision of what a reckless use of power can do to a person by showing us scenes from the other 2 seasons when she was still an uber mega power hungry bitch as a life lesson example, and that's basically it for their part of the plot.
what?
The remainder of this episode is just Triss finding out a mage girl apprentice is missing, the mages keep yapping about the obvious conflict that's about to happen soon, Rience kills the information broker couple because they talk too much, haha, what a surprise, Emir has a 2-minute scene where he still doesn't convince me he's an actual threatening person, Radovid lets us know he's very gay for Jaskier by accepting his request to work on finding Rience for him, the masochistic Dijkstra gets mind f***ed by Radovid into thinking that King Visimir is having secret secret meetings with Nilfgaard behind his back. Fringilla avoids dying a slow death via alcohol poisoning by escaping in a dead man's sack, Count of Monte Cristo style, and then Gallatin tries to conspire with Tahir into killing off Francesca to take control of the Scoia'tael. However, that plan immediately goes to shit when he finds out too late that the still not intimidating Emir ordered Tahir to kill him off as a condition for his reinstatement into the Empire, and then they talk to Francesca, whose skin color seems to drastically change from a Mediterranean tan to pure white between seasons like a confused chameleon, that they still need to keep looking for Ciri, which ends this episode as a 3 out of 10. So for this, let's move on to the next. Shit. Parts of those last bits I mentioned may have been from other episodes, but I honestly don't think showing you those scenes early on will change the fact that this show will get worse with each subsequent episode. So you know what?
I don't care. I don't care.
Okay, so Geralt picks up Jaskier from the local gentleman's club so he can help him transport the mentally scarred girl to the house of a druid friend of his dead mother named Annika and a werewolf acquaintance named Otto. And to condense it down to the essentials, Geralt finds out that the mystery mage in question threw a Rubik's Cube's worth of different types of spells that even Annika herself says may be next to impossible for her to concoct a potion strong enough to get this girl's mind back to normal, but that they should try it anyway.
This plan might backfire.
A little bit later, the girl wakes up lucid for a short while to give Geralt enough clues to suspect who might be the culprit, but you won't find out until later on because the girl ends up going apeshit after getting possessed and almost gets Otto to go into a berserk werewolf mode, but is stopped when Geralt puts his magical amulet on him, and after that event, he has a discussion with Annika where the showrunners wanted to showcase the fact that Geralt is now going through the same difficult situation that his mother once went through of choosing between whether to abandon Ciri or to go to her side in order to protect her, and obviously he makes the choice near the end of the episode where he saves her and the mechanical horse she is riding in the CGI background from the gay Nazgul parade, I mean the wild hunt led by the sexually liberated Eridan, in the nick of time before they can snatch her, and with that we can focus on the non-essential.
Don't forget about me!
Oh, for fuck's sake, fine. I forgot to mention the other important bit that Yennefer and Ciri eventually arrive at Aretusa, but they need to make a quick pit stop to cash in on some financial favors that this obviously gay Latino dwarf banker owes her, so she can enact her plan of acquiring Tesea's forgiveness and be able to call a council of all the mages in the north so that they can stand together against Nilfgaard.
Not a great plan.
As she is trying to do this, she asks the banker to provide her with someone to babysit Ciri, and look, all that happens is that she wastes time in the market with this dude until she decides to ruin a good show by being a dick about the type of monster that's inside a circus cage, which ends up causing the monster to escape and it kills the cage owner. But a fight then ensues where she ends up killing the baby monster while giving the credit to some random dumb Black Knight no one cares about so she can escape. And no, I didn't create that comedic racist joke, the showrunners did it for me.
We have a hero in our midst. He saved us all.
I did? You did?
Hey, yo, what the f? Oh, no, they didn't. Oh, yes, they did. Oh, no, they didn't. Shut up!
After that riveting sequence, Ciri gets mad that her future sus lover in the books, the now black butch lesbian missile that checks all the stereotypes of the 2023 inclusivity spreadsheet, stole her money, but right now she is running back to Yennefer for help when she gets stopped by this fat bitch who plays too hard into the black girl boss stereotype in this show that decides to hit her because she thought Ciri was a rude runaway apprentice.
Oh, for f***'s sake.
To cool down tensions, Yennefer treats the sorceresses to a good time at a women's only massage parlor, and I'm sorry for my apparently 11% female viewers, but I can't show you any of those scenes because I'm not risking YouTube's algorithm thinking I'm showing explicit content when the scene doesn't show anything of the sort except shirtless buff dudes wearing bathrobes while serving women alcohol.
Women.
However, what I can mention at least is that Ciri is not very good at understanding her current situation, and she ends up having a heated argument with a clothed Yennefer in a separate room after she insulted the head mistress, which causes her to leave Aretusa, and this is where she meets Geralt, okay?
No way.
Other than what I've been describing to you guys, Philippa and Dijkstra hatch up a new plan that consists of giving Radovid the middle finger by killing the queen and using her head to let Radovid know never to mess with him again if he wants to live, but also as a way to trick the King Vizimir to wage war against Nilfgaard.
Oh no, I ain't messing with you. Oh no.
So yeah, this episode is a 3.5 out of 10 because Graham McTavish as Dijkstra is awesome and Henry Cavill's scenes were mostly well done, plus the scene of Gallatin getting killed by Tahir was at least entertaining in the sense that it's one less character I have to care about. So you know what, guys?
Good riddance to bad rubbish.
Moving on with this slog, we start with Amir still not convincing me he's more of an intimidator than a useless weasel without his minions, but for some reason the writers of the show never taught the concept of timing or showing and not telling, because they tell the audience in the first few minutes through this conversation he has with Tahir that he wants him to dispose of Francesca so he can have his daughter Ciri returned to him with one less rival.
Oh my god! Wow!
We get it, man!
As for the rest of the plot in this episode, Geralt talks to Ciri for the 10 through 15 minutes they're on this episode together about how she needs to take up her responsibilities to learn to control her powers and become a capable queen for her future subjects. Also, they encounter with Jaskier, the most annoying diverse medieval a cappella band I've ever seen, but unfortunately they don't end up getting eaten by the sea monster that attacks their ships since Ciri and Geralt are fighting it. And guys, can any of you tell me who the hell the fight coordinators were for this actress, or how many pounds of cocaine they snorted before this scene? Because this looks lazy as hell.
Disappointed!
Anyway, Ciri makes it back to Aretusa with Geralt eventually, but as their little adventure is happening, we see Yennefer trying to realize her ambition of uniting the northern mages against Nilfgaard, and she is somehow able to convince Philippa and Dijkstra to come because they will benefit from it. But at the same time, Istrid and Triss find out that there is a mage in the tower that is doing experiments with half-elven girls with the sinister end goal of committing mass genocide on all the elves in the continent.
It's pretty damn scary.
Meanwhile, Vilgefortz has a small talk with Yen that boils down to Saya trusts you a lot and has been forced to clean up your messes constantly, but let me tell you something. If you end up making a bigger mess for my girl this time, you're the one that's gonna get f***ed up.
God, you're pathetic.
Yes, so other than that, Yen almost gets killed by a portal hack but survives, Ciri comes back with Geralt to Aretusa, Jaskier and Radovid get in each other's pants off screen, and Geralt goes out with Yen to the party in order to keep up appearances and expose the powerful genocidal mage in the next episode, which ends this one, so this gets a 2.5 out of 10 because half of the scenes with Geralt were half-assed by the showrunners, and because they wasted my time yet again on a plot point that could have been explained in 30 to 35 minutes rather than 50 minutes. Once again, so...
Are we there yet? No!
We still have one more mission.
Right, so this episode begins exactly where the previous one left off with Yennefer and Geralt at the party, and wait a minute. Where the hell are they going dressed like that? The freaking Met Gala? I thought this was a medieval fantasy world that used 15th through 16th century fashion sense, so why is it that only the main characters the show cares about look like they just came on set after coming back from Mardi Gras?
Answer me! Answer me!
Look, all I can tell you is that Henry Cavill's face in this exact moment is me when I reached this point of the show, and you can already see that he was just getting tired and frustrated with the producers, and somehow he was still able to project that personal frustration as he was playing Geralt to further enrich the character's already established personality. Now, if that doesn't show you how great an actor this man is, then I don't know what will.
I think I made my point eloquent.
Anyway, to quickly summarize this extremely drawn-out episode that for the third time could have been done in 30 to 35 minutes, Geralt avoids getting magically roofied by the ultra-horny Sabrina and her partner while basically letting Dijkstra, Philippa, and Vilgefortz know that he's not taking any sides in the upcoming war or giving up Ciri to any of them, which pisses all of them off. Also, the show constantly jumps back and forth between the different shot angles and time jumps at the same ballroom set in order to let us know that everyone except Geralt and Yen is a scheming bastard that will obviously backstab everyone else the next morning in order to acquire the ultimate control of the North.
No shit.
Meanwhile, we are then shown a couple of minutes later through a separate scene I can't show of Geralt and Yen having some fun time together, if you know what I'm saying, while relaying the info that they have gathered throughout the entire night, but this is where we find out that their actual goal is to help out Triss and Istrid in exposing Stregobor as the mastermind behind the apprentice girl abductions while the meeting is going on, in order to have him arrested and sentenced by the Mage Council later on. Now, they do end up achieving that exact objective, but not before Istrid decides to do a quick fake fight with Geralt in order to distract Stregobor while Yennefer acquires evidence, and look, just see it for yourself.
Really? Really?
What the was that? Okay?
After the whole party is over, Yen lets Geralt know in a later bathtub scene that I also can't show that Philippa tried to subtly get Yennefer to join her side as well, but that she was very vague in showing why she has such a sudden change of heart. But this makes Geralt so suspicious that after putting all their info together, they end up eventually finding out too late that Stregobor wasn't the culprit involved in the conspiracy, and we are then shown through a short talk scene Geralt had with Vilgefortz and some subtle imagery that apparently he is the true mastermind.
What?
Yo! Hold up! Time out! Time out!
You know what? Whatever, man. Whatever.
Now, the way they explain it is by saying that the corrupted portal from the previous episode that took Yen to this coastal landing was connected to the physical location of a painting Vilgefortz really likes that represents when the Brotherhood of Mages was first formed, and Geralt mentions to Yen that the necklace Tissaia was given by him earlier this season apparently was also given to the mute mage lady that is Rience's handler as a way to use her naive love for him as a tool to further advance his final ambitious goal with Nilfgaard of killing off all his pro-North political rivals in the Mage Council so that only his faction can have absolute power in the North, but from the quick research I did, it seems like things are going to take a crazy turn in the second half of the show.
Did you guys all get that back there?
What? No. Okay, moving on.
Anyway, as Geralt is heading out, Dijkstra holds a knife to his throat and tells him in what is obviously a piece of a scene of the 6th episode that he should have chosen a side rather than remain neutral, and then the camera just cuts to black, ending the episode and my patience for the show, which is why I'm giving it a 1.5 out of 10 rating because of the garbage cliffhanger we were just given.
In other words,
You.
Okay, so by my calculations, the overall point accumulation is a well-rounded 15 out of 50 points, which if we divide both of those numbers by the common denominator of 10, it gives us the final rating of 1.5 out of 5, or a 2 out of 5 for this show if you round a decimal, which still doesn't change the fact that this show is a hot piece of shit.
this is the worst.
I am dead inside.
So far, this is the third worst convoluted piece of garbage fantasy show I've ever seen in my life, and the only reason I chose to watch it is because this is Henry Cavill's last season on the show, because the agenda-obsessed psycho producers and writers wanted to self-insert themselves and their ideals into a fantasy world that could care less about them.
Yes! Preach!
In fact, the only good things about this show are Henry Cavill and Graham McTavish's scenes, because both of them are great actors in their own right, but unfortunately two top-tier actors, and no amount of public ass-kissing from the producers to Henry Cavill will change the fact that this first half of the season is incredibly boring and forcefully drawn out because of how much unnecessary time padding they put in many of the scenes in all the episodes, when they could have told the plots of some half of the episodes in 30 to 35 minutes and still have achieved the main objective of entertaining the audience instead of boring them to the point where they want to search for another show to watch to get rid of the chronic depression this show gave them after wasting their time.
You fucking donut!
Also, half of the action scenes are just atrociously choreographed, and you can tell that some of the actors besides Henry are not even taking their roles seriously anymore because they already know that this show is going down in flames after the second half of the season releases.
That's cold, sir.
But it's definitely true.
Other than that, this has been my honest review of the first half of The Witcher Season 3, and when the second half comes out, you better believe it that I will be back with a vengeance, but until then, I will settle for roasting Indiana Jones 5, and until then, friends, I wish you all a wonderful day, and Namarie.